Okay, here we're going to look at simplifying variable expressions with distribution and FOIL and collecting like terms. Okay, this is decently straightforward if you know these two skills of distribution and FOIL and collecting like terms. The thing that you need to be able to be mindful of is just doing them in that order if they appear in a problem, if they both appear in a problem. Okay, so why is that? Because distribution and FOIL are modes of multiplication, sometimes division, depending on how you can look at it. And collecting like terms is a mode of add and subtraction. So basically, it's really just the order of operations continued where you have multiplication coming before addition and subtraction. Okay, so we're just going to look at some examples here, and usually that's enough to instruct in this area if you have distribution skills and FOIL skills and collecting like term skills. So let's take a look. It says please simplify, and in problem number 1, we have 4x minus 3x times a quantity x minus 9 plus 4. So we just need to be mindful of doing this in the appropriate order. Okay? We need to take this part of the problem where there's a multiplication being established and simplify that first. Okay? Now, that being said, some kids will do what I'm underlining in green here and do this incorrectly and say, well, I'll do 4x minus 3x. Well, you can't because the 4x minus 3x is a subtraction, but the 3x times the quantity x minus 9 is a multiplication. So it's the multiplication that needs to come first. Some kids would further confuse the issue and say, oh, but if we're doing order of operations, I really need to do inside the parentheses first. Well, if you take a look inside the parentheses, it says x minus 9. There's nothing to be done there. They're not like terms. You can't really do anything. So let's just try and focus on trying to be of the mindset when we go to do problems like this that we want to distribute and FOIL and then collect like terms. So back to what I said, we're going to take a look at this multiplication in the problem, negative 3x times quantity x minus 9. I'm going to bring down the 4x because I'm not doing anything with that. And then I'll go back to blue here and distribute and make sure that I'm using the negative sign here when I do it. So negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared because I'm adding these exponents that are 1s. Then negative 3x times negative 9 is positive 27x. And then I will further bring down this 4, which I have not used. And then I'm going to collect like terms. I see that I have 4x and 27x. They can be collected. I cannot collect them, however, with the negative 3x squared. Like terms also also implies that the exponents must be identical in the terms, and x squared is not a same exponent as x. So I'm going to pull down my negative 3x squared because that's my largest degree term. It doesn't have to go first, but it's nice to start to learn to write things in that order. And then I'm going to do 4x plus 27x is 31x, and then I will pull down my positive 4. Excuse me, wrong color. And making my final answer negative 3x squared plus 31x plus 4. On to example 2, a little bit longer here. If we notice, it says 4 minus 5 times the quantity h minus 3 times the quantity h plus 7 plus 6. Well, there's multiple multiplications involved here. If we notice here, we've got this negative 5 times the quantity h minus 3 times the quantity h plus 7. Well, if you notice, I'm multiplying 3 factors together. I'm going to take a moment and multiply these two together first because they're the FOIL portion, and it's just a personal preference thing. You could actually distribute the negative 5 in here and then FOIL, but again, I'm going to try and focus on this part here. When I'm done, though, I will continue by multiplying the negative 5 by distribution into that answer. So for right now, I'm just going to pull down the 4, pull down the negative 5, and in blue, I'm going to do this FOIL problem here, which is h times h is h squared, h times 7 is 7h, Negative 3 times h is negative 3h. Negative 3 times 7 is negative 21. And then pull down my 6. Also pulling it down with the addition sign. Okay, well, one of the things we've seen in FOIL problems, if we have experience there, and you should have plenty of it by coming to this, by the time you come to this video, is I need to collect like terms in the parentheses if possible. So I'm going to do h squared. Then again, 7h minus 3h is 4h minus 21. Pull down my plus 6. And then I'm going to go continue with my multiplication by doing distribution. So I will pull down my 4, and then I'm going to do negative 5h squared. Negative 5 times 4h is negative 20h. And negative 5 times negative 21 is positive 105. And then I'll pull down my 6. So here I'm going to look to collect like terms now that I've done my distribution and foiling. You notice I did some collecting of like terms while doing my FOIL. That happens sometimes, quite often actually. So I see that I have a constant of 4, a constant of 6, and a constant of 105. And then I also have no other like terms. So I guess I will pull down my negative 5h squared, my negative 20h, which is minus 20h. And then I'll collect those terms, and I'll do 6 and 4 is 10, and 105 is 110. Making the final answer negative 5h squared minus 20h plus 110. Now in example 3, I am going to do 5 minus the quantity m minus n squared plus 4m minus 9. So we notice here that there is a FOIL problem inside of this problem. Okay, it's right here, if you notice, because we see that m minus 9 squared is in fact m minus 9 times m minus 9. Okay. I'm going to employ a method here that I'm hoping you guys have mastered. Okay. I have another video on it. You could look at it, more extensive examples on it. But I'm going to use the L squared plus 2LR plus R squared model to do this squaring of a left and right term. So you've seen that video, this should make sense. If not, I would watch it a little bit. You'll pick it up here a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is to do L minus R squared. It's equal to the left squared plus 2 times the left times the right plus the right squared. Okay, so continuing with that, I'm going to pull down my 5 and my minus sign, and I'm going to pull down my parentheses because I am in fact, excuse me, you are in fact going to subtract a quantity here. Okay, so let's get to work on squaring this quantity. To perform this, I'm going to square the left term, which is going to give me m squared. The left term is m. When I square it, it's m squared. Then I'm going to do 2 times the left times the right. Now the left is m, and the right is negative 9. So left times right is negative 9m. But again, it's times 2. So it's negative 18m. And then I'm going to do the right squared, which is negative 9 squared, giving me 81. And then I will just pull down the parts of the problem I have not used. Again, you could have written this as a FOIL problem up here like I did. You would still just get this. It's a great shortcut. You really should start to master it. Okay, so now I'm going to distribute this negative or subtract this quantity, so I will get 5 minus m squared minus negative 18m plus 18m, and minus 81, which is minus 81. Pull down the 4m, pull down the minus 9. Now I'm going to look for like terms. 5 is a constant. When I say constant, I mean something without a variable. So is negative 81. So is negative 9. I also see that I have 4m that matches an 18m. And this other term of negative m squared matches nothing. So I will just pull that down first. And then I will do 18m plus 14m, 4m, excuse me, is 22m. And then I will do 5 minus 81 is negative 76. Minus 9 is negative 85. And that is my final answer. Okay, so when we encounter problems that will involve multiplication of quantities, which is distribution and FOIL, and collecting like terms, we just make sure we do our multiplications first, observing our exponent rules, where we're going to add exponents when we're multiplying, and then we move on to collecting like terms because they are doing additions and subtractions. Okay, I really suggest that you take a moment and try and watch this video where we do this trick of L squared plus 2LR plus R squared. Okay, it's really worth your time. As you move into Algebra 2, you really have to be mastered at that technique. It really helps you move fast through these problems that have lots of operations.